I have a 7,000 gallon in-ground pool, which would use the least amount of energy, a 3/4 horsepower pump motor or a 1.5 horsepower variable speed pump. I currently have a 1.5 horsepower pool pump that uses roughly 1,300 watts a month if left on continuously. I really want to get that down to the bare minimum.
First off, I think I would need to know which particular pump manufacturer to use, or that you're using. Although, in a variable speed pump, so people understand, when you cut the RPMs in half of a pump, you save 8 times as much electricity. So at 1.5 horses, you're running at your maximum. If you take it to the lowest setting, normally that's about 700 RPMs, I think, on the low end, and that's equivalent to roughly a 1/2 horsepower pump. So just looking at the numbers alone at 1/2 horse versus 3/4 horse, likely that pump is going, the variable speed pump, as long as it's one of the known pumps that I have knowledge of, that low end is roughly equivalent to a 1/2 horse. Now, if you're running it at that low end, I don't know you're going to be able to get much more efficiency than that. What I'd recommend, though, is most of the manufacturers of pumps have on their website, they have calculators that can tell you how much this pump is going to cost to run per month, and you can run through a lot of scenarios, and you might do some research that way. Pick if it's a Hayward pump, a Pentair pump, but whatever ones that you Jandy, if you're whoever you're looking at, or something else. But let's talk those main three. If you went to each of their websites, you could look and see what one's going to be most efficient. However, by the time that you invest in the cost of the pump and installation, I don't know the return on the money, especially when we're talking trying to lower it incrementally. A new pump costing anywhere from $500 to $1,000 probably. And if you're looking to reduce your cost by a few dollars a month, it seems to me that you almost break even over the life of the pump itself. I think if there was a way of going from, if you could take it from a $500 bill in electricity in a month and drop it down to $200, that would make a whole lot of sense. But I think because, you would make that up very rapidly. But in this case, I don't know dropping it that much more is going to help you on a cost sense, but even more importantly is how's the pool going to handle it? A variable speed pump keeps that water moving. That's the beauty of having a variable speed pump, is that water's always moving, which means it's never stagnant, and it's always going to stay cleaner as a result of that. So I would hesitate to switch for that reason alone. However, unless there's something else that's creating less efficiencies in your system, I just don't see much, without going through the numbers and without pulling up those charts and graphs myself and going through it. I just don't see finding a way to be much more efficient. You certainly won't be more efficient with a single speed pump, I can tell you that much, unless you can find a small enough one. However, now if you're that small of a pump, are you really getting the filtration you need and the water flow that you need? And you need to make sure that water keeps turning over. So I don't know if I confused you more than helped you, but do some research on those websites and look at those calculators. They can tell you how many watts you're using and for how long you could run, and you might just have to do a little more research there. If there's a significant saving somewhere, I would absolutely recommend doing it. And the idea of conserving energy, again, I would recommend, but I just don't see that there's a whole lot of way of cutting much more.